watched Conan the Barbarian. I'm Chad.
I am Chris.
And I'm Andrew.
And we watched Conan.
1982's Conan the Barbarian.
Starring
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Arnoldo Schwarzenegger.
The Austrian prince.
And some other no names. Sorry.
Max von Sydow.
That's...
Max von Sydow.
Yeah.
James Earl Jones.
Oh, fuck. I forgot about J.E.J.
Yeah.
Or G.E.J. Or G.E.J. Dyslexia, man.
And don't forget Will Smith, Conan's father. That is the actor's name, William Smith.
Oh. I was like, I don't remember Will Smith in this movie. Maybe he was one of the kids pushing the thing, but I don't remember him. You know? Like, fuck. So why did we watch this movie?
Because you said, Chad, if you want to be a man, you need to watch the Conan Barbarian. I said, but I am a man. You said, no, you're not. Have you seen Conan the Barbarian? And I said, no. He said, well, you're not a man.
And now do you feel like more of a man?
I want to fight things.
I want to work out. I want to fight things. I want to grow my hair out.
Certain movies get me hyped to want to go work out and like do stuff. Jackie Chan movies.
Yep.
And Conan.
Conan. Fucking what else?
Rocky.
Gladiator
Yeah.
gets you hyped. Saving Private Ryan in a melancholy way where you're just like, I want to do what's right. I want to do my duty.
Fuck that movie makes me want to be like, no.
You're a pussy. You'd be the guy with the bar the end. Sarge, why are we doing this? And I'd be Tom Hanks like, fuck you. That's why we're doing it.
I'd fucking be Vin Diesel. Trying to save a kid. Just die.
Vin Diesel trying to steal a little girl for nefarious purposes during a war.
That's not why.
Come on, you
Karate Kid does it for you too, Chad. Don't lie.
Karate Kid.
Cobra Kai.
Dude, Last Samurai.
That was a good movie.
Last Samurai is like Conan for me, where it's just like, yup, warrior code. I get it.
You know what movie gets me hyped? Bloodsport and Kickboxer.
Yeah. So this is like, I think Conan sits at the peak of that mountain of films.
Well, Conan's different. It's fantasy, and it just makes us want to get buff, get a fucking sword, get bitches.
But because it's fantasy is why I'm putting it at the peak of, because it's something we'll never be able to achieve, but something we want so desperately. Where like we could become the Last Samurai if we really tried. If we really tried hard enough, we could do it. You know what I mean?
Mm.
We could become Bloodsport. Yeah. If we really did. But there's no way my girlfriend's going to get shot by a snake arrow and then I'm going to fucking slay a shape-shifting wizard in front of a crowd of people who then all denounce their faith and walk home. Like, that is never going to happen.
So what was the first time you guys saw this movie?
Oh, dude, I was young. Like, young. My dad showed it to me when I was like 5 or 6 and I was like, whoa. Whoa. Not even boobs, but just like swords. That's what I took away from it, was swords.
What about you, Andrew?
So I wasn't really allowed to watch too many Arnold movies growing up because, my parents were pretty strict, but I went on a big Arnold binge in high school where I downloaded a bunch of movies, and Commando was one that I saw pretty young. So I was already pretty familiar with, Arnold. Obviously I'd see Terminator on TV and Commando on TV, and True Lies probably was another one that I saw on TV.
True Lies was on a lot in our childhood, for sure.
Yeah. So I Commando was always my favorite, and then I decided to just download a whole ton of Arnold movies, and I just kind of watched them from beginning to end. And I think the last one of that series was what's that really awful one? End of Days, where he fights the devil.
Dude, fuck you, Al Pacino.
Yeah, that one ain't bad.
That
movie gave me a headache.
When I say it ain't bad, what I mean is it's really bad, but I like watching it.
Yeah, I like that. I enjoy that movie. It's like how I enjoy watching The Happening. It's Arnold fighting the devil. Come on.
Yeah, that movie. I ended that movie with a headache. So any movie that gives me a headache, I hate.
Wait until you watch Primer.
That's a different kind of headache.
That's a good kind of headache. Yeah, my dad was pretty cool. He was like, I don't know. We've all met my dad, right? Like, we have all met my dad, even me.
Yeah, they have too.
And even you at home, you've met his dad.
Even you at home. Call in now.
Let's give everybody Bob's phone number.
401. Yeah. No, my dad was like, he wanted sons. you know? So he showed us war movies and violence and shit all the time when we were kids. So like I saw Conan really early on, and from then I was like always had a stick in my hand, protect like I would just fucking I remember the first day I went to Sunday school, we were stick battling outside my Lutheran church, and I noticed there was a rose bush. So I went over to the rose bush and I grabbed the part where there was no thorns, and I was like, ha! And I was just hitting kids with the thorns. And I got fucking yelled at and told I wasn't allowed to eat ice cream after recess or whatever.
That happened a lot to me in Catholic school.
And I was like, fuck Sunday school. I'm Conan.
The thing we got in trouble in Catholic school was when we were playing Spawn and we were going to fight the devil, and they'd be like, what is wrong with you two? You and my friend Danny.
But we're fighting the devil, you bitch. Yeah, Conan was like life-changing for me. And it wasn't until my teen years that I really like understood. Like I always thought of it as like, you know that movie you see, the adult movie you see as a kid, and you're like, it's just so cool, but you don't know why it's cool. You just think it's cool because it's an adult movie. It was like this in Starship Troopers for me. And then I went and watched them when I was like in my teens and early 20s, and I actually saw and like paid attention to the dialogue and the characters and the scenery and the sets and the special effects and the music. And I was like, oh my God, this is like a whole fucking thing. This isn't just like a cool guy with a sword running around half naked. There's like a story, there's characters, there's costumes. It's fucking awesome.
Costumes are great.
It's like one of the last big movies, in my opinion. What did I compare it to? I said it was the practical version of Avatar, where every time you look at something, you're like, whoa, you know? But it's all practical effects.
Well, you said you haven't seen this movie in like, what, a year or so, Andrew?
Oh, longer than that. It's been a while.
So how was it watching it for the first time in a long time?
Oh, it was great. I honestly, there was a lot of stuff that I totally forgot about this movie, but there was other stuff that I remember, obviously the quote about the lamentation of the women. And I even brought that up on one of the episodes that I was on a couple weeks ago, which, obviously that's something that sticks in your head, but I would say some of the, it was great going back and watching it again, but some of the stuff that you forget about is like some of the really bad effects.
What do you mean bad, bro? No, I know.
Like there's no way getting around it. How some of these effects are really bad. They did not age well at all.
A lot of things Chris and I talk about. There's bad effects in bad movies, but there's bad effects in great movies where you can look past it.
Where you're just like, you know what? They were limited by technology.
Yeah.
It's not. They tried their best with the budget they had. Like the flame bar when the witch is jumping away from
that. That's not bad. That's not bad, but I spoiler alert, I think the worst was when he cuts off James Earl Jones' head.
Really? You thought that was
clearly tell that that's like not even a real human
head. When he's standing up with the prosthetic.
Yeah, it's dark enough where...
No, he's saying the scene where he's holding the prosthetic head and it's like 3 times wider than it should be.
No.
Yeah, that scene sucked. But the initial whack, and you see James' eyes like light up and the squib explode, like that was.
But even when he's holding it and his body falls, you can see like the cutout, like the mannequin cutout at the bottom of the head,
the stick in the head and everything.
Yeah.
But just the hacking from behind, while you see the crowd of people all screaming in fear.
The thing I loved about that too is he probably could have just chopped it off in one thing.
Well, he was using his father's broken sword.
Oh, right.
So he didn't have a full blade. He had like this much of a blade. So he was just hacking with a butcher's knife, basically.
Yeah. I do like how he was just hacking down, trying to make it hurt.
Yeah. He wasn't going for the clean cut because we've seen the clean cut. No, he was going for the, I'm going to take you out at the collarbone. Oh, yeah, but so good.
None of the effects in this movie brought you out of it.
There were a couple delayed squibs.
Yeah, there was that one scene
where he hits the guy and then it exploded after the sword already left. You could say
it was a bad hit in general.
You could say that the sword hit, sunk in, and it only sprayed. It was such a clean hit that the blood only sprayed out when he left. But really, he missed the squib, then went over it and pulled away, and the blood sprayed out.
Squibs in this movie were great.
So good. So good.
Like, it was more realistic. Like we were saying, like a lot of movies try to get like clean cuts, but this one it was like they're just getting whacked with a sword. You know it's not going all the way through.
Yeah, and just it's like there's 2 squibs I can think of that rival Conan. Braveheart, when Mel Gibson has the war pick with the hammer and he hits the guy on the top of the helmet. And it looks like they had a water balloon full of fake blood just spray out from underneath. So you know that guy's skull and brain just caved in. And then in Last Samurai, he does like a belly slash, and you see the blood spray out against the wall and drip off his sword, and it looks super good.
You know what that also reminds me of? Even though it's not really in the same league as those movies, how about in Casino when what was it? De Niro's character holds the guy down, he takes the hammer and bashes his hand,
Yes.
and the camera you see the
Yeah, just I miss what were you saying? Total Recall has amazing squibs when he's going up the elevator and he grabs the human shield and he's shooting over.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like
See you at the party, Richter.
yeah.
Even Commando, like you're a big Commando guy.
Oh yeah, I love Commando.
Mowing people down. All the
Mowing?
time. Yeah.
Like
Mowing
Chairman
people,
Mao?
Mowing people down.
There we go.
Fuck you. I like mowing better.
Well, no one likes Mao. Fuck you.
But you see, like,
the tool shed scene in Commando is pretty brutal when he takes the axe and he like.
I don't play
What's
basketball.
that?
he tried to get it in the garbage and he missed.
I
Totally.
missed by
I'm
like
so
a
sorry.
foot.
Kobe.
I play baseball, not basketball. Sorry. I'm so sorry.
Sorry, Andrew. What are you saying?
The tool shed scene in Commando where he takes the axe and he gets the guy right in the chest with the axe, and then he also takes the blade from the saw and he like throws it at the guy's head and it like cuts like part of his head off.
Dude, how clean was the scene when they storm the orgy and that one guy runs up to Sobotai and he does the cut across the belly and then brings it up and down across the chest and you see the blood spray out and then it looks so like and then he instantly runs to the next scene. Fucking, or when the guy jumps at Red Sonja and you see her like brace and then jump up to catch him. Like,
That was cool.
Yeah.
That was. I love how like he leaped and she took the sword and like brought him to the ground with the sword.
Yeah,
so
like she caught him and directed him down.
onto the crash pad. It was so
Or
cool.
when Conan swings and then he starts doing the hand and a half technique and he's like hit pommel striking and then stabbing. Like he traditional sword fighting, you use every part of the sword, right? So like the fact that Arnold bothered to learn how to actually use every piece and learn how to hit is fucking.
Arnold gets a bad rap, man.
He doesn't anymore. He did for a bit in the 90s and the early 2000s because he was a joke actor, quote unquote, because people didn't appreciate the talent. His accent held him back, straight up. If he had a normal American accent, people would be like, he's the best. He'd be a Brad Pitt with muscles.
Yeah.
Or more muscles.
Yeah, The Rock.
He's The Rock in his prime versus Arnold in his prime. Arnold's the better actor, hands down.
Oh, The Rundown's pretty great.
Aftermath was the movie I was thinking about where Arnold actually has some pretty good acting. The movie itself is not that great. It's a very depressing movie. And a lot of people didn't really like it, but he actually it's very different than anything that he acts in. He's like depressed. He's like I don't know if he's an alcoholic or probably is depressed alcoholic because his family is killed on a plane.
Dude, I'm down to do Arnold binge.
We have to watch Mr. Mom. That's the one where he gives birth, right?
No, that's Mr. Mom has Michael Keaton.
Oh, I don't want to watch Mr.
I was gonna say that's not Mr. Mom. That's
Junior.
Junior.
Yeah, we gotta watch Junior.
I'll watch Junior. Don't give a fuck.
Is this the beginning of Arnold Palooza?
I will watch every Arnold movie and just make Arnold movies from now on.
Dude, I watched Predator the other day on Sci-Fi.
Yeah,
and
I watched a little bit.
Even though it was edited, I was still like, my dad walks in and he was like, "What are you doing?" And apparently I was silently mouthing every line to the movie. And he was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Sorry, I've seen this movie like a billion times." And he was like, "What are you watching? Predator?" And he was like, "Cool." And then he sat down and he goes, "Okay, it's this scene." I was like, "Yeah, fuck you, Dad. You know the movie as well as me. Shut up, dude."
I love Last Action Hero.
Yeah. It's the weakest, I think.
No.
Yeah. But you know what's really strong is Conan.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh no, clearly the best is Twins.
Fuck you, dude. Twins is good. And they're making a new one, and Eddie Murphy's good.
I would watch Arnold and Eddie Murphy in a twin movie where they're non-fraternal twins or whatever it is, where everyone's like, "Are you sure you're twins?" Because it's a giant like Austrian guy and then like an African American guy, and they're like, "Yeah, we're twins."
Then Danny DeVito's just like, hey brothers.
Yeah, Danny DeVito shows up and they're like, "What's up?" And it's like, "Who are they?" And those are my older brothers, even though Danny DeVito looks older than them. Like, I would watch that movie where it's just people in a hospital like, "Wait, what?" Like scientists come and try to prove it wrong with math, and they just
It's like
keep
when the
getting...
babies come out, one's super jacked, one's pudgy, and one's just
One's black.
Yeah.
Yeah. One's little and one's like this big, one's like this big, and one's like just a normal black baby. And the lady's, what happened? The dad
I did watch Jingle All the Way around Christmas time too.
I watch that.
And honestly, I haven't seen that movie because that's probably one that I haven't really watched that much of. Like I used to watch it when I was little because I thought it was awesome.
Yeah,
And then, like I watched it again.
That was a
maybe
one and
around-
done for me.
Watched it maybe around high school, and I thought, But you know, I watched this past Christmas. And I was like, you know, it's actually really not that bad.
Dude, it's great. He fucking fights a reindeer, then he has beer with it afterwards.
It was a one and done for me.
I'm Turbo Man.
Right. But are any quotes besides "I am Turbo Man" as memorable as any quotes from Conan?
Oh, these cookies!
All these
God.
cookies is as good as... Insert Conan movie quote here, Chad.
But yeah, Conan.
You can't remember? Quote the movie right now. Say an Arnold quote from the...
Steel. It's what I pray to. Fuck you, Viking God. I will, if you don't help me, to hell with you. I'm at the
Viking God?
Krogan. You underestimate them.
You have kids!
I have bad memory.
This happened less than an hour ago! What is best in life? To crush your enemies, to see them driven before you, and
Yes.
to hear the lamentation of their
Lamentations of the
goddamn
women, yes.
women!
Yes.
My bad, my blunder.
Two snakes! Like this. You could have said that and I would have believed you. Or Zamora. What did she say?
Wreck me revenge. And if you do not listen, to hell with you.
Yeah. That's a great one. The wizard. That was bad. The wizard. That was bad. The wizard. He said, I said I'd pay the price. Then she dies. James Earl Jones lines. Am I not your father? Did I not give you purpose? Like, what a good villain speech. Holy shit. And it almost worked until Conan looked at his dad's sword and was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, fuck you, dude.
Yeah, fuck you, dude.
I have to say that it is a pretty weird scene though, where he randomly turns into a snake during the middle of that orgy.
He knew it was coming. He knew Conan was coming, and he was like, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
So he did the other snake.
Dude, when Conan fucking tips that shit down onto them,
The random hands just floating in
the
it.
fake prosthetic
I
shit.
love how like the girl walks up, grabs a hand, just goes,
I mean, I heard monkey or primate flesh is like super tasty.
probably is, but I'm not gonna.
No, I'm not gonna eat it either. I mean, well, in a survival situation, I totally eat people. And I mean in a real survival situation.
Yeah.
But
Stay the fuck away from me. I ain't dying.
yeah.
I gotta get jacked.
How about the gay priest when he comes on to Conan?
Oh, the Chad.
And he's like, oh look how nice and chiseled you are.
Dude.
He was going up to Conan. Conan's like, I'm scared. He's like, why would a man of your stature?
As he rips open his clothes and
He's
strokes
like,
his
look at
chest.
your chest. You wouldn't want to touch Arnold's chest?
He let me.
If he was just like, do it. touch
I'd be
my
like, yeah, of
chest."
course, dude, no homo. And I do it.
Yeah, but would you do
That's
it
what I do.
now? But would you do it now with him being all old and wrinkly?
I'd say, Arnold, do you have a mold of your chest when you were young? I want to compare and contrast. Then I touch his young chest, then I touch his old chest, then I touch his young chest, and I go, ah. Then I'd walk away.
And then you'd go back to touching his.
No, then I'd go back to touching myself, you know what I'm saying?
Where's the rock?
Fuck the Rock. I want to touch John Cena's chest. It looks so gross. I want to know like how much of it's real, you know? Like Is this silicone injections, you fucking pig?
Made in China.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Leave John Cena
Hey,
alone.
Peacekeeper was amazing, but John Cena's a piece of shit. God damn, the swords in this movie were awesome.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
the designs of the weapons.
The weapons and armor
the
were.
fucking hammer, the axes.
What did you say? You were like it's kind of like Lord of the Rings, not on par with the level that the Forge went for Lord of the Rings, where everyone got their own suit of armor and sword. But for like they didn't have the scope Peter Jackson had, or the budget probably. But for what they had, every piece of armor looked sick as shit. Every sword, every weapon was cool as shit.
Like I feel like most of the budget went to see like the actual location the props.
I feel like it was the opposite of a modern Bruce Willis movie, where the actors got paid the least and everything went to the making the movie good. Because the soundtrack, I listen to the soundtrack in my free time all the time.
Now, was that soundtrack used in any other movies? Is it recycled at all, or is it just?
It might be. Okay, so you say recycled, but a lot of people like to use the word adapted.
Yeah.
They'll borrow bits and pieces. Sampling is another word people like to use. Like a lot of people play like Mozart and Beethoven and say adapted from Beethoven's 7th Symphony in A minor, and you're like, so you just robbed it? But yeah, whatever, fine. It's fine. It's good. We like it. I'm not mad.
No, the music in this movie put you in the mood to be like.
It sounded like King's Court music, like Green Sleeves, and then it would cut to like that Beethoven from The Fall.
Yeah. Violin.
Where the train at the beginning, remember? I can't remember Beethoven. Whatever, and then it would cut to like Lacrimosa, and you'd be like, "Whoa!" You know, like it was all this cool classical music, but with like an '80s modern synthy twist, kind of, but with no synth, just orchestral synth.
Well, they had that really nice melody during the orgy scene too.
Yeah, that dun 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 dun.
Like Lord of the Rings had nice whimsical music.
Concerning hobbits.
Yeah.
Yeah, this had it had its own Concerning Hobbits. Yeah. It had its own Black Riders. It had its own Road to Mordor. It had all its own like music, and when it replayed the song again, you weren't upset because you're like, oh shit, this is when the horse, you know,
like this movie did well with the music. Is song came on, you know it's about to happen.
Right, when it was like whimsical, you know they like nefarious shit was happening. Yeah. But when the da 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 da, and you see the horses charging, and you see fucking Subotai just like ready with a spear.
I honestly think Christopher Nolan ruined soundtracks of movies.
Yeah, he killed.
Well, yeah, that's what's his name?
Not Philip Glass.
Zimmer, right?
Hans Zimmer, yeah.
Hans Zimmer.
Yeah, Hans Zimmer is the guy. He just got lazy.
Yeah, that's all Nolan movies. He only uses Hans Zimmer, and I actually made a YouTube video as a joke where I took there were rumors that the James Bond movies were going to use Hans Zimmer. I took the cut from one of the Nolan movies, so it was like the gun barrel was going across the screen, and all of a sudden, wah, wah.
It doesn't sound good. Like I don't get it.
It works for certain films where like catastrophic events are happening.
Yeah, like if they're in like earth-shattering.
Like if you watched an asteroid hit the Earth and it went blah, and then cut to black, you'd be like, ugh. You know.
Yeah, not for like
the one that I think that he probably did the best in was Interstellar. I love the theme where he used an organ.
See, I was going to disagree with you. I would say the best Hans Zimmer soundtrack is Inception. Because think about it, dreams don't really have a soundtrack. It would just be a blah, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've had some dreams with some pretty crazy music.
You in the moment, in the dream, you weren't. You attached the music later with your conscious mind. Trust me, it's the reason you can't read in dreams.
You can actually.
No, you can't. You cannot read in dreams.
That's been proven false.
I disagree because I've never been able to read in a dream.
Talk about it on the podcast.
Because I've had I used to lucid dream all the time, and I'm still not able to read in dreams. No, actually, maybe it's because I am dyslexic. Maybe I've adapted my conscious mind to be able to read calligraphy, but then when I go into my unconscious mind, I can't read it at all. That's interesting. That's an interesting concept. Good for you, Chad. You proved your worth. No, I've actually never thought of that. That was genuine.
Who was your favorite character in the movie besides for Conan?
Sobotai,
Which one was he?
the Asian.
Yeah, same here. Because he's stuck with Conan throughout the entire thing.
He prays to the 4 winds. And then Conan's like, my god's stronger than yours. He lives on a mountain. And then Sobotai was like, my god's the sky.
He's like, your god lives under my god.
And then you see Conan like think about it and then get pissed.
That was like, the fuck you, man.
Fuck you and fuck your god.
But
I
you know,
that.
like he could have easily at any point just given up on Conan, especially when Conan like died. He could have easily given up on him, but he stuck through it.
Even when Conan left them.
What about when Conan was a drug addict? Like yeah, when he starts to drown in his Sobotai's nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
But he gets caught anyway, and then he agrees to go with Conan anyway. You know? Sobotai was a G from the beginning because when Conan met Sobotai, he was fucking tied, he was chained to a wall, and Conan had the good grace to save him. So it's like, you saved my life, eventually I'm gonna save yours.
He did when he was crucified.
Yep.
And that was fucking brutal as fuck.
Yeah, what was it? The Tree of Woe?
Yeah.
Not the Tree of Woe! It was the Tree of Woe. That tree sucked. I wouldn't want to be anywhere near that tree. That fucking sucked.
Just reminded me of the Wolverine cover where he was crucified on the X.
See, when I think of crucifixion, I think of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
But yeah, you can think of
Yeah,
Wolverine.
but he wasn't crucified like an X.
Isn't that the John the Baptist one where you're crucified like an X? No,
I think he was crucified upside down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
John the Baptist. Who was the one that was crucified like an X? Or am I thinking of Game of Thrones with the flayed man?
Yeah. No, the flayed men weren't crucified. Were they? Yeah, I think they were.
Yeah. I don't know. I've been rewatching Game of Thrones for some reason. Just the fight scenes, not the actual plots.
So here's a fun little fact. Did you guys ever play the video game series Golden Axe on Sega Genesis?
Who didn't?
That game is inspired heavily off of Conan the Barbarian.
Can I just interrupt you? Did you say on the Sega Genesis?
Yes.
Bro, I played it on an arcade cabinet. Go fuck
God, you're such a
your
snob.
God, you are. Oh my God!
What?
Why do I do this podcast? with you guys?
1, 2,
Why do you think it's called Fanboy and the Snob?
1, 2, and 3, all on arcade cabinets. Me and my older brother were Golden Axe champs.
Super Nintendo.
But no.
Anyway, that series is based heavily on Conan the Barbarian.
Actually, it's pretty crazy. Once you watch Conan, you go, oh, so this influenced modern fantasy. Oh, so this is where everything came from. Like, D&D borrows so heavily from Conan to the point of where there's an NPC, if you want to use him, named Thulsa Doom. Like, the ability to shapeshift into a snake is a level 20 spell because of Thulsa Doom. Turning snakes into arrows because of Thulsa Doom. The way the divination spell where he brought the soul back to Conan is from D&D took that.
Well, the coolest thing about the magic in this movie is it doesn't hit you over the head with it.
It's like
happens.
it's Gandalf magic.
Yeah.
Where it's like it's something unbelievable that you couldn't do. Only he could, but it wasn't obvious.
Yeah.
He's not shooting fireballs. He's flicking his hand and something happens and you're like, was that
Pulling
magic?
out a snake just going straight.
Yeah, exactly. Like if someone told that to you, he was like, he straightened out a snake, you'd be like, whatever, he probably used like a glove with poison or something. And then you see it happen in real life, and you're like, oh my God, that dude just turned a snake into an arrow.
Yeah. I miss practical effects in fantasy movies. And like the sets they built and everything.
The sets were amazing.
Yeah.
Soundtrack, everything about this movie. This is one of those rare movies where I say, all things considered, 10 out of 10. Straight up. All things considered. Think of the time, think of the cast, think of everything, but then think of what they pulled off.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
What would you rate it, Andrew?
Give it an 8 out of 10.
I hate you! No.
Say 8?
Dude, I'm taking a flight down to Florida tomorrow. I'm gonna kick your fucking ass dressed as Conan.
I would pay this.
And I'm going to fight you off with a Sega Genesis in my hand.
Just crack me over the skull and I just have an aneurysm on the ground. You just leave me there and leave me for the gators.
Now, do you guys think we'll ever get a movie like this again?
No, never again. Not with that amount of blood, not with that amount of sexism,
Yeah.
not with that amount of cool story.
The only thing I wish that they would have done, and I get it because it's a product of the time, is I wish we would have gotten more of like the drying blood color, because a lot of that was still at that, like when you look at a sword after the fact, it's like bright red.
Right.
It would have been more realistic if it was like that dried.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, but that was
the
a
times.
product of the time. So
Well,
blood.
no, that's what I was saying. It's probably a product of the time.
my thing is there was no like strong female character to man's, like
was.
no, but she never told Conan, you so stupid. We never got that scene. No, but seriously, my favorite part about this movie is the scenes where no character was talking. You just saw movement with music, and there was never a scene where it was like when they were like, okay, let's do the plan. And there was no scene where one character was explaining the plan with quips. They just showed you the plan happening.
The only director that has the ability to be able to do that well is Edgar Wright.
Yes. Where Edgar Wright just shows you things happening. Well, yeah, he did Shaun of the Dead.
Even how
Rami's pretty good at just showing you things happening in sequence. Filming or constructing scenes in a sequence that makes sense, where you have no dialogue, just action and music, is kind of a lost talent.
Yeah.
Because you got your...
Well, the problem is directors feel like they need to dumb things down for the audience.
Well, they need to dumb things down for that one market across the sea that has 1 billion people. Because remember, they don't speak the same language as us, and they don't have the same culture as us. So they need things explained to them. And since that market makes way more money than our market...
Spider-Man No Way Home still hasn't gone to China.
And it's one of the dumbest movies ever made.
You've never seen it.
I've seen enough at this point.
It's wicked good.
Coming from you.
You know what movie you were talking about, like how things just happen?
Yeah.
And they don't explain the plan or anything. I was trying to think of a movie that did that too, but maybe explains it after the fact. And there's a movie, I can't think of it right now, where it was like, so this is how it was done. But another one popped in my head, and that was The Prestige.
Yeah.
I actually really like that movie.
I saw that movie, I thought it was the other one. Because remember,
Illusionist?
Yeah, 2 magician movies came out.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to see The Illusionist, but I thought The Prestige was The Illusionist. So I kept telling people I wanted to see The Illusionist. So then LaValle was like, you don't want to see The Illusionist, you want to see The Prestige. I thought he was going to show me The Illusionist, sat down for The Prestige, was blown away.
That's actually one of my favorite Nolan movies.
American Psycho.
He didn't make American Psycho. A woman made American Psycho.
No, a woman wrote American Psycho.
I thought the director was a woman too.
Was the director a woman? I thought only the author was a woman.
No, he didn't do American Psycho.
Are you sure?
No, he definitely didn't do American Psycho.
Oh, fuck. I thought he did. Maybe it's just because it was Bale.
Memento's an interesting movie by him. If you haven't seen that before.
Mary Harron directed American Psycho.
So what didn't you guys like about Conan?
It was a very long movie, but I wish we could have had more. Does that make sense to you?
It felt every bit of its 2 hours and you wanted more?
No, it didn't feel like every bit of its 2 hours. It felt like I wanted more Conan.
So you wanted a 5-hour movie.
Yeah, I kind of wanted like a Lord of the Rings.
You wanted more. Yeah, that's not really
actually not a problem.
That's not a downside. What's the downside?
Downside? Not enough boobs. I don't know.
Oh, Jesus. What about you, Andrew?
I like the movie a lot. I would say the only thing that doesn't hold up are some of the special effects. Some people are going to criticize that. You have to understand, product of its time, of course. But no, I think
bring it out of the movie.
Overall, it's something that's definitely worth watching.
I'll agree with Andrew. Product of its time. But my thing is, since this is not really a product of its time, choreography. Some of the fight scenes could have been, and I'm not saying over choreographed, but they could have been better timed.
My thing with that is, you have this movie, you're spending all the money on
everything else.
So you have these
extras
extras riding horses, and you have people that might not know what they're doing.
Exactly.
So
Which
it's
is
kind
why
of hard to, like Peter Jackson's.
If I could go back in time and show up with like $5 million, I'd be like, yo,
Train.
Training. You know, like, here's some choreography money. Spend it on
And
choreography.
you're also going to realize how long did they have to film this movie?
Probably a year or two.
So they probably didn't have enough time to do all
And
this.
and like you put
Takes
out
and
you put out a flyer. Do you know how to ride a horse? And then like people who have rode a horse once
But
show up.
honestly, the choreography, there was probably that one scene where it was just
There was-
dealt with the horses.
Arnold's choreography was great, but you could tell some of the extras were just waiting to get hit. You know what I mean?
But it wasn't, like I
Jarring.
said, it's not enough to take you out of the movie.
Which is why I give it a 10 out of 10, and that's literally my only
And
nitpick.
plus, if you're in fucking battle and you have this fucking massive guy swinging a sword around, you're probably gonna be like, "Whoa."
No, I hate that. I hate that in sword fights where it's one guy runs in. Seriously, if me, you, and Andrew were gonna fight one dude who was bigger than us, I wouldn't be like, okay, Chad, you go first, then me, then...
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking in general of him going to the extras.
That's what I'm saying, though.
Yeah.
We're the extras. It's like, okay, you first, then me, Andrew, and then after I die, you go in. Like, no, it'd be like, okay, let's get him at the same time. Like, I'll go low, you go high. Like, why do they wait? I hate when they wait. Just mob the dude. He can't swing in all directions. Well, Arnold can, but he can't swing in all directions.
But overall, I feel like this is a timeless movie. That
Timeless.
Just,
Show it to your son.
I'm definitely gonna show it to Finn when he's older. But overall, if you like fantasy or action movies or anything, you should watch this movie.
Only if you have an open mind. You don't care about what's the word we were saying earlier? Product of its time. You can do with some bad acting, and you have a good set of balls. This movie's for you.
Definitely a man's man.
This
movie.
is a man's movie.
If you want to be a real man.
This is like Jeremiah Johnson just walking out into the woods, killing some Indians, and building a log cabin. This is the exact same fucking feeling.
Can't make those movies anymore.
God, we should watch Jeremiah Johnson after this.
Yeah, thanks for watching.